projects that we're working on with clients, and we wanted to share some of our thinking with you. So I've got some questions ready that I'm going to ask Elina. We're here in the beautiful nature of Finland here, and we'll show you the view afterwards of this incredible ocean that we're looking out on here too. But we thought we'd take advantage of the weather, of the scenery, and just to share some of the conversations and some of the chats that we've been having. And where we're going to start is I'm going to have a conversation with Elina about the idea of the circular economy, what it is, and really kind of why for Elina something like the circular economy is so important to you.
Yeah, well, first of all, Phil, I'm happy to have you here in Finland. Super happy.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, but, well, talking about the circular economy, so for me it's not the kind of a separate thing. It's part of our life. It's question of kind of our behaviors, our values, and so forth. I think that since I'm working with as a change catalyst and helping organizations to build a future-proof organizations and collaborate, so I think that the circular economy and in general like sustainability should be heavily involved in these discussions and workshops and sparring sessions. So therefore I think it's of course a personal matter for me, but also from my kind of professional side, I really see that it is important topic to start, at least now, if not happened before, start to talking about it.
So can I ask you a bit more then?
Sure.
So you mentioned sustainability. Is that what the circular economy is? So for people who maybe haven't encountered that term before, is it sustainability? Is it more than sustainability?
Well, of course it depends how you defined it, and I think that whatever you call it, you can call it whatever, but you have to have a kind of a common understanding, and of course kind of the overall understanding of kind of what's the situation from the UN side, for instance, the UN Agenda 2030. Yeah. That could be if kind of there is a kind of a, well, maybe not misunderstanding, but not really kind of, you don't really kind of know what that is. So there are a lot of kind of frameworks, and EU talks about it, and EU regulation stuff. But I would like to still kind of come away from that it's not only the regulation and reporting thing, but sustainability includes circular economy.
Okay. So why do organizations need to kind of have some focus on this? What's the value in it for them?
Well, first of all, it goes kind of, it's a holistic matter. It's not one industry matter. It's a matter for everybody on the globe. It's a matter for us as human beings. It's a matter how we treat the nature, the oceans, trees, animals, whatever grows. But there's a huge potential also in it. If we just could kind of push a pause button for a second, and kind of, if we could kind of invite adults in our organization, since I think that everybody has a kind of some kind of a, if not opinion, but has a feeling that whether I'm super interested in that or I don't know enough, so kind of that we would kind of engage different people, kind of not only certain themes or kind of that there is a sustainability team or director who takes care of it, and there is other people who drives the business. That I see that first of all, kind of our we have to have a bit kind of a new mindset of how we approach this, because there lies also big new business potential if we would like to kind of grab it and be the forerunners.
I think that's really interesting what you're saying. So it's going across all teams, and so then it's going to be covering things like recycling. It's going to be covering things like how people are using IT equipment, IT facilities, and so it's more than just kind of buying something for buying your new company phones for 3 years and then sending them off, and it's more than that, isn't it? It's not just, because that still feels to me quite linear.
Yeah, you have right, and this is a complex matter, but I think that from kind of the general thinking could be that like circular economy is only about the waste. How do we circle them? But the problem that lies that globally kind of our capability of using already the resources that we have been taken, the natural resources, so kind of we circle only, was it like 70%? So there's a lack of 93% percentage of those materials that we already have, that we don't wisely use them. We have too much kind of our approach, and the kind of the economic, the system how we work, it's too linear now, and that's the change and the shift that we would need to do. So in terms of thinking only the waste, that's kind of the end of that cycle. We have to think about it as earlier. How do we plan buildings? How do we plan our services? How do we plan our production? How do we plan our sourcing processes in terms of doing kind of living and making business in a kind of scale that that our earth can handle?
So it sounds to me like we need to get governments involved in this. It's not just organisations, because we need maybe some legislation within the countries to help make that difference.
Yeah, of course, that's very, very true, because of course I completely understand that companies that are currently making good business, it could be like a linear business. So who would go and kill your kind of own baby?
Yeah.
So but of course that's a matter of the legislation. Now if we think about on kind of EU, so EU has done a lot already for circular economy. Someone is interested, could just Google EU and circular economy. There's great plan. So it's about the climate change, biodiversity, all the circular economy, green transition. So of course there are a lot of legislations from the EU level, and then of course the countries how they implement then the new legislation. But of course it's a tough kind of tough combination of making at the right time the right decisions for the purpose of, for the society, for the enterprises, the companies, the startups, the smaller kind of companies like or entrepreneurs offering like services, like if your zipper, for instance, will break, what do you do? How easily kind of you go and find a service that can fix it?
Yeah.
It's too simple and it's too cheap now to throw that away. You might circle it as a waste, but you might throw that away.
Yeah, probably go and buy something else.
Because by the price of that what would it cost you to get a new zipper? You could buy a new one. Kind of it's also kind of how we as a human beings, how we behave, and what is our attitude.
And it's, you know, what you're making me think of is turning the clock back 50 years. And my mother would have sewn the zip up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very much a case of there was much more of recycle, reuse, and even though it wasn't called that, or upcycling, it wasn't called that. It was what generally tended to happen. The thought was we will keep something until it literally falls to bits. Whereas I think, you know, what you're saying now, and this is what probably many of us experience, is it just seems easier. Oh, well, yeah, we'll get rid of that and we'll get a new one, because it's too difficult to get it fixed or to get it mended or to get it repaired.
And it's pricey. It's too pricey.
Yeah.
And there where the legislation should come in to make, for instance, taxation is a good thing. So what kind of a taxation should you have on services that are kind of on the circular economy, that kind of drives, that accelerates the circular business for the sake of providing less waste. So there should be kind of less taxation. So like you said, we have to turn it around. Like if we use natural resources that we haven't ever used before, those must be more expensive, and the services and all the stuff that we buy which has been circular in a way should be less kind of how do you say, there should be less tax.
There should be incentives for those kind of businesses.
Because then again, then an entrepreneur, and it's very common, like services around around circular economy. First of all, there might be ecosystems coming up and building. They are small companies, but of course it is or one person or two, less than 10 people working there. So there should be incentives driving that business, and that should be a matter of governments, of the people who make the legislation, who make the decisions. And I must say that, coming back to the fact that I totally do agree, like my mother or grandmother, so they would fix, they would use, they didn't call it circular economy, but it was also the fact that they were much better quality, the products that we used. Because nowadays, if you can buy a hoodie like that for 10 euros from China, and it would be cheap. Well, maybe, sorry,
Thank
not
you.
that, but you get the point, kind of, that it's so easy.
It's
like
easy
this.
to get.
I don't even want to mention these couple of companies, you know, and the fact is that these companies kind of accelerate even more, kind of the flight. Kind of there are aeroplanes flying back and forth, taking that 10 euro stuff to someone who didn't take their hoodie or coat to a service that the zipper could be fixed. It was ordered for 10 euro from China, and there is no custom on those products. So it's a complex problem. But I really do think that there are great innovations, and if we just kind of openly, commonly start, we as a consumers, as kind of working in a companies, in a teams, we start kind of questioning this. So what could we do about it, and find it that it can be an inspirational thing also. It's not kind of a report that we have to make, that it's kind of somehow, you know, annoying us, and it's taking away our time from our business. I would like to kind of there is the thing that I'm talking a lot about, kind of how to make the kind of the change in mindset.
Yeah. So if you've got maybe one call to action or two calls to action for people that are listening and watching, either at work or at home, what would you say this is like the first step or the first two steps that they could take to kind of get to know partly more about the circular economy, but some real tangible moves that they could do to impact this in a positive way?
Well, I would say like kind of speak up, ask questions, or be kind of honest, or take it if you are you're in your team meeting, kind of ask your have a dialogue on this. Kind of, what does this mean for you, my peers in the room? What do you think? How do you consume, for instance? And what would it be like? Would it be an idea if we would kind of start looking at our kind of whatever is the target that we as a team are trying to accomplish, and kind of what are our goals? Are there something that we could do differently? And then kind of speak up, and because I would say that from the level, the higher in the kind of in the decision making process we go, kind of the responsibility gets also bigger. So all the company owners, kind of who owns the company, the board members, and of course then the leadership teams, they have to seriously start talking about it if they don't do it yet. It's not just a question about that we have this under control. There is a person or a team who does our sustainability reporting currently.
We're not just ticking a box. We need to do something.
No, this can be really inspiring, discussions and new innovations in going towards more kind of circular economy. That's a long journey, but I suggest that everybody starts it today.
And I think you're right. It is a journey. Today was part of our journey around sharing our thoughts and Elina's knowledge and understanding around this. So stay tuned to hear what's coming up in our next sessions that we have together, because we've got a couple more sessions that we're going to share with you, and we appreciate you tuning in and listening and watching us.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.